So after the student reads and I have the running record, I like to flip back to the fluency scoring page just so that it's right after they read and I can remember exactly how they've read and give them a more accurate score. So you score them on a scale from 0 to 3. The descriptors are all here on the side. I would give this student a 2. So then I would actually put a square around this and put a square around this. These are two things that we would work on. So then I would go down here. The total time it took him to read the passage was 3 minutes and 52 seconds. So in seconds, that is 232 seconds. I plug it in down here, and he read at about 57 words per minute, and he was a 6th grader, so we want him to be reading at about 110 words per minute. So then after you do that, you can flip back and start counting up the errors and self-corrections. So here he started to say this word and repeated himself, but he corrected his mistake without me stepping in, so I count that as a self-correction. Here he replaced the word or mispronounced it, so that is an error. Here it's not exactly the same word, it has the ing ending and he pronounced it the same way, so I would mark that as an error again. He also omitted the word is, so I would mark that. Then I go down here, he replaced that word, put one there. Here he did omit myth and one, so I could count that as 2 errors. However, this was a title and it's in a different font in the student book, so I think if he were directed to, he could read that word correctly, so I wouldn't count it towards his accuracy score. You can if you would like to. Then down here, so up here he pronounced hypnotize like closer to hypothesize or hypothesis, and then he did the same thing here and here, so I wouldn't give him an error for these two when he made the same exact error. Then I go here, I add them all up. So he had 6 errors on this page and 1 self-correction. So once I do a subtotal for each page, I add them all up. So in total he had 11 errors and 2 self-corrections. At the top, you count out the errors, so he had 11 errors, which means he was reading at a 95% accuracy rate, and he had 2 self-corrections. So then you'd analyze the miscues that he made on the first page here. So what it looks like here is that he is having trouble decoding multi-syllable words that are probably not familiar to him, and it seems like he is looking at the first letter or first couple of syllables of the word and guessing the rest based on that, based on words that he knows. So it sounds like he read this sort of as the word fantasy, and he read this word as hypothesis. So I would look at this sheet, the if-then from the Kylene Beers book, and I think for him, he's decoding the first few letters or first syllable of a multi-syllable word and then making the rest up of or gives up. So there were a couple times when he did say, I don't know, and he never asked for help decoding. So if you're looking at this chart, then we find that he needs help with word recognition, spelling, and fluency.